Hello everyone. Good morning all of you. Hello. Are you there? Yes, everyone. Good morning all of you.
Good morning, ma'am.
Good morning, Payal. Okay, let's start today's session. We are at the unit 4. I share my screen first. In last session, we have covered the join operations. In that, we have seen the inner join, then full join with example, left join, then right join. Okay, then the natural join. Then we have seen the concept of the views. Huh? Views are the nothing but the virtual tables. Huh? Just like a create a table, we have to create a view. Okay, so by using view, we can combine two or more table content or as a whole table. This is the main purpose of the view. After that, we have seen the creating the view from a single table, huh? Its syntax as well as the example. Creating the view from the multiple tables. Then how to delete the view. Using drop, we can delete the view. Now, let's start the today's point, that is the integrity constraint. Integrity constraint, you all know about now the constraint. Constraints are the nothing but the rules and regulations we have to apply on the table to arrange the data in very well format, as well as to increase the accuracy and reliability of the data. Why we are needing the integrity constraints? To arrange the data in well format, as well as it aims to increase the accuracy and reliability of the data stored in the database. SQL constraints are used to specify the rules for the data in a table. These are used to limit which type of data must be stored in the database. You very well know that there are basically 4 types of constraint: integrity, domain, entity, like these. Huh? Then, so constraints make sure that there is a no violation in terms of transaction of the data, yet there is any violation found, the action gets terminated. Why we are rules or constraints are required? Because we should make sure that there is a no violations. There should not be any ambiguity in terms of transaction of the data, and if there is any kind of violation we found, the action get terminated. That's why we are needed the integrity constraints. So we have seen these terms in the theoretical point of view. So now in intermediate SQL, we will see the how to apply that constraint while we are creating the data. Yes, is there any doubt? Okay, so basically there are 2 types of constraints which can be applied. The first one is the column level constraints and as well as the table level constraints. See, there are 2 types of constraints which can be applied. First one is the column level constraint and second is the table level constraint. Column level constraints means we are applying the rules or regulations or constraint at the single column level. On these constraints are applied to a single column. See, tally the names with its meaning. So it's more easier for you students that to remember the points very well. And now you all know that your exams will be offline. So be prepared for the query as well as the SQL, whatever is the queries are they will provide. So be prepared for the same. MCQ types of papers are quite easy for you, but in the theory you have to write the each and every point in very specific and precise way. So be prepared for the same. Then the table level constraint. These constraints are the application to the complete table. Column level constraints apply to the single column from the table, and table level constraints apply to the complete table. So moving forward to the article, let's understand the different types of constraint. Okay. Let's see. Different SQL constraint and its usage. Let's see these one by one. First one is not null. First constraint is the not null. It used when the column should not take null value. If we don't apply to a particular column does not take null value, then that constraint comes under the not null. Unique. This constraint is used when all the values in the column need to be different. If we want all the column value should take the unique value, distinct value, then we have to apply the unique constraint on that specific column. Then the primary key. Yes, we all know about the primary key, foreign key very well. It uses that each row in the table has a unique identity. Then we can apply the primary key constraint. This is the list of different SQL constraint and its usage. Just if you want to note it down, just note down, because these are the important things, important constraint. The next is the foreign key. It used to identify the rows or records stored in another table. Okay. Then the check constraint. Check is used to ensure that all the data in the column satisfy some given conditions, and we are checking that one. We will see these constraints in detail very well with examples. Okay. Then the default, sixth one. This default constraint used to set the default value for the column when no value is put by the user. Suppose if no value put by the user, then there should be, if we want to put default value, we can apply that through the default constraint. Okay. These are the few important SQL constraints and its usage. Not null, unique. Third one is primary key. Fourth one is the foreign key, check, and as well as the default. Is there any drive today? Why the strength is too low? Let's see each and every constraint with example. Okay. First one is not null constraints. So not null constraint make sure that a column cannot have a null value. No, all know the concept of the not null theoretically. So suppose we want to apply not null constraint to a specific column within a table. So how to apply that one? You are learning these things now. Now you can use the not null constraint either while creating the table database or while modifying it. When we apply the not null constraints while we are designing our new table, creating the tables, or suppose we want to alter, modify the schema, at that time we are applying the not null constraint. Okay, are you getting when we are using not nulls? While we are creating the table as well as the modifying the design of the table, that is the when we are using the alter table. So suppose we are creating the one new table, that is the students, and we want that attributes are the student's ID, name, age, and city. In these columns, we don't want the student ID should not contain the null value. Then just apply the create table students to create a table student, and after that the specify the column name student ID, its data type integer, and after that you should put not null keyword because student ID does not contain null value. That's why just apply not null keyword. So because of that, that student ID does not contain the null value. As well as suppose you want student name also does not contain the null value, just after declaration of the that column, its data type, put not null. Okay, see over here. Here we are creating the table using the create table command, and after declaring these two, student ID int not null, student name varchar to the not null, and integer or city may comes with a value or no value. That's why we are not mentioning that as a not nulls. This is the first way. That is while we are creating the table. Next one is the not null constraint on a alter tables. Write a query to alter the above statement student table where a new column, that is the date of birth, must be added, and it should not have any null value. Now already we have created the table, that is the students, and we want to add the new column in that DOB, that is the date
Excuse
of
me,
birth.
ma'am.
Hello, yes,
Ma'am, can you check the waiting room?
adjustment. No, no one is in the waiting room. I am already disabled that waiting room because of everyone can get entered immediately. That's why.
Ma'am, but I got the message that we are in waiting room and told to ma'am that to join her.
Just a minute. See over here now. No one is in the waiting room, dear.
Okay, ma'am. I told her.
Because I already disabled the waiting room.
Okay, ma'am.
Is they join or still they are in waiting room? Because I already disabled the waiting room. That's why there is a no waiting room. Are they join or is there any problem with them?
No, ma'am. 2, 3 members are there, ma'am, but they are not showing till.
Okay. Hope so they join now. I think the attendance is now 46 total participants. Okay, okay. Let's continue with the session. Peoples are joining late and disturbing the class. Okay. Hope so the screen is visible for everyone. Okay. Not null constraint. Now, when we are using the not null constraint on an alter table, just that means when we are altering, we are adding some columns and we want to apply not null when we are adding new columns. Just alter table, students, add column, date of birth, year, and just apply after that null constraint. Okay. This one is our first constraint that is a not null. Just note down not null constraint with example. The next one is the unique constraint. The unique constraint, as the name suggests, if you want each and every value of that column should be unique, then we can apply the unique constraint. Of course, can we apply the unique constraint on the student name? No, not at all, because there are sometimes student name, first name and last name most of the time may same. So we have to apply the unique constraint on the specific type of column. It may be we can apply the student ID. Okay. The unique constraint is used to make sure that all the values in the columns are unique. You can use the unique constraint either on a multiple columns or a single columns. Apart from this, you can go forward to use the unique constraint to modify the existing tables. Any table can contains more than one unique constraint. We can apply the unique constraint on the more than one column. And see, while we are applying the unique constraint, just note these things that while creating a table, primary key constraint automatically has the unique constraint to guarantee the uniqueness of the columns. Then what the difference between the primary constraint as well as the unique constraints? The main difference is that in one table, there is only one primary key constraint. We can apply the primary key constraint on the single column. Okay, but there may be more than one unique constraint we can apply on a two or more columns. ओके म्हणजे प्रायमरी की ही आपण एकाच कॉलमवर एका टेबलच्या अंडर अप्लाय करू शकतो आणि युनिक की कन्स्ट्रेंट हा मोर दॅन वन कॉलम्सवर आपण अप्लाय करू शकतो आणि सपोज एखादा आपण कॉलम प्रायमरी की म्हणून अप्लाय करत असेल तर ऑटोमॅटिकली युनिक कन्स्ट्रेंट तो असणारच आहे. Yes, and table can have many unique constraints, but can have a single primary key constraint. Okay. And unique constraints on a create tables, how to apply. Just while we are creating, while we are designing the schema of the table, then and then we can apply the unique constraint. Okay. Here, we are writing the query to create a tables. In that, we are writing student ID, that is not null. Just a minute. As well as the unique. Just write unique. That means students ID column should not have a null value, as well as each and every record in the student's ID is a unique one. Okay. We can apply the unique constraint on a multiple tables too. So same, we are taking the same example, that is the create table students. In their student ID, student name, integer age, city, and after that, if you want to apply unique constraint, just on which column we are writing that over here, unique student ID comma student name, like that we can create the multiple column constraint as a unique. Okay, hope so you all are getting the concept of the constraint, not null, unique. Now the next one is the primary key constraint. Yes, primary key constraint, that means we are going to apply the primary key on a tables while we are creating the tables. So how to apply the primary key? Just here take an example of the customer table. We are want to create a customer table. Am I too fast?
No, ma'am.
Okay. And primary table, then create table customers. We are creating the customer table with its ID, name, age, address, and salary, as well as each and every columns following its data types, which kind of data they made get stored. And at the end of the query, before ending the query, here we are writing the primary key in bracket ID. That means we are applying the primary key on a ID column, and end of the bracket with semicolons. Please, these are the important points. Just write down these points with an example, or after that, after end of the sessions, please try to write that one. See you over here. In this way, we are creating the primary key constraint on a specific column. Again, we can use the primary key constraint with the alternatives too. Okay. So how to do that one? To create a primary key constraint on an ID column when the customer table already exists. Now assume that the customer table we are already created, it's already exists, and we want to apply the primary key. Then just use the alter table customer had primary key ID. तुम्ही ऑलरेडी तयार केलेला आहात आणि तुम्हाला सपोज विसरला आहात आणि तुम्हाला पाहिजे आहे प्रायमरी की, तर जस्ट अल्टर टेबल म्हणा आणि टेबल नेम ऍड प्रायमरी की. ओके, म्हणजे तुम्ही प्रायमरी की कन्स्ट्रेंट त्याच्यावर अप्लाय करू शकाल. Now let's see the next concept, that is the check constraint. We are on the point of the fourth constraint. First we have seen the not null, unique, third one is the primary key. Now the check constraint. The purpose of the check constraint is that the check constraint make sure that all the values in this column satisfy the specific condition. Are you getting the meaning of the check? Is that we are cross verifying. We are making sure that all the values in the column satisfying the specific condition. While we are writing, designing the table, creating the tables, we are giving certain conditions and we are cross checking that whether it's satisfied or not. So how to apply the check constraint on the create table? See, most of the time while we are creating the tables, at that time we are applying the integrity constraint. Okay, or otherwise after when we are modifying the table, we can apply. Here again we are creating the table students with the column student ID, name, age, city, and we are specifically mentioning that the city must be Mumbai. What's the condition over here now? We are creating, before this we are creating the table student, but there is a no condition. But we are explicitly mentioning that each and every student must be in from the Mumbai. So how to apply that condition? Again, create table students, student ID, integer not nulls, as well as the unique, student name, that is also not null. Then age is equal to integer, it contains the integer value. City, its type is varchar, and check the city is equal to Mumbai. See here, just applying the keyword check. See here, check. We are creating the check constraints, means we are taking the only student info in this student table, those comes under the those cities Mumbai. Okay, suppose we want to apply the check constraint on the multiple columns. Yes, we can apply that too. So how to do that one? Same, create the student tables, as well as the that whatever the information we are collecting, that students they are from Mumbai, as well as the their age should be a greater than 19. These are the two conditions. Then how to apply that one? So just create table student, student ID, student name, and age is equal to age integer and city varchar 255, and check city is equal to whatever is the given Mumbai, as well as here is we are applying the and that age greater than 19. Okay, in this way we can apply the check constraint on a multiple columns. Now let's see the default constraint. So default constraint is used to mention the set the default values for a column when no value is specified. Hmm? Similar to that, the other constraint we can use the constraint on a create and alter tables commands to apply the default value when we are not mentioning the any uh, value. It we are applying the default constraint. So here we are writing the query to create a table student with the columns student ID, name, age, and city. Also, when there is a no value inserted in the city column, automatically Delhi must be included. Hmm? Same way we are creating the table. Creating the tables and using create table students that includes the ID, name, int, city, and by defaults using default keywords we are applying the default constraint that default in a single quotation that should be a Delhi. Okay, that means if you are not mentioning any city, by default it takes the value Delhi. Okay, are you getting, students?
Yes, ma'am.
The last key constraint is the foreign key constraints. We all know the purpose of the foreign key. Suppose there are two tables. I am repeating the concept of the foreign key. One table has the primary key and it's working as the in another tables. We are referring that to the another table too. Then it works as a foreign key of that tables. Okay, or reference key. A foreign key is a key used to link two tables together. To make a relationship between the two tables, we are using the foreign key constraint. This is sometimes called as a referencing key too. Okay. And a foreign key is a column or combination of columns whose value match a primary key in a different table. Okay. The relationship between two tables matches the primary key in one of the tables with the foreign key of the second table. So consider the example. Here there are two tables, person table and order tables. Here the person ID column in the person table is the primary key. See over here now. Here is a person table and here is the order table. In this, person ID is the primary key in the person table and person ID column in the orders table is the, here is the foreign key. Person ID column in the orders table is the foreign key in the order table. The foreign key constraint prevents the invalid data from being inserted into the foreign key column because it has to be one of the value contained in the parent table. Here the person table is the parent table and order table is the reference table. So when we are adding a new value, that should be mentioned in a parent table. Okay. So how to create this foreign key constraint? Let's see now. Here foreign key on the person ID columns when the order table is created. Now assume that the person table is already with us and we want to create the ordered tables with the foreign key of the person ID from the person table. So just create table orders. Here we are creating these three columns, that is the order ID, order name, person ID. And we are applying the primary key on the order ID and a foreign key on a person ID. And from where we are taking that reference? We are taking the references from the person. We are taking the reference of from the person table and person ID. I am repeating one more time. हे बघा, इथे काय आहे, पर्सन टेबल आहे आणि इकडे आहे ऑर्डर टेबल. या पर्सन आयडी हा पर्सन टेबल मध्ये प्रायमरी की आहे आणि ही पर्सन आयडी आपण ऑर्डर टेबल जो आहे त्याच्यामध्ये पर्सन आयडी वर्क ॲज अ फॉरेन की. मग हाऊ टू मेक दिस रिलेशन? तर इथे आपल्याकडे आता ऑलरेडी अज्युम करा की पर्सन टेबल आपण क्रिएट केले आहे. क्रिएट टेबल पर्सन आणि त्याच्यामध्ये सगळे आपण प्रायमरी की ह्याला अप्लाय केलेली, पर्सन आयडीला अप्लाय केली आणि बाकीचे कॉलम्स आणि डेटा टाइप मेन्शन केलेत. एवढं तर तुम्ही होप्सो आता करू शकाल. अजून तरी करू शकाल की बाबा तुम्हाला प्रॅक्टिकली अजून नाही केलं असेल तरी पण, की आतापर्यंत आपण एक्झाम्पल्स बघितलेत म्हणून. मग आता इथे आपण क्रिएट टेबलने टेबल क्रिएट केला ऑर्डर्स आणि त्याच्यामध्ये बाकीचे जे कॉलम्स आहेत ते टाकले, ऑर्डर आयडी, ऑर्डर नंबर आणि पर्सन हे दोन टाकले. आणि त्याच्यामध्ये आपण काय करत आहोत आता, जो पर्सन आयडी आहे तो प्रायमरी की म्हणून मेन्शन केला आणि आपल्याला फॉरेन रेफरन्स घ्यायचा आहे. कुठला? तर पर्सन आयडीचा घ्यायचा आहे. म्हणून आपण काय म्हणतोय, डायरेक्ट फॉरेन की हा कीवर्ड यूज करून पर्सन आयडी हा फॉरेन की म्हणून टाकून दिला. येस. मग फॉरेन कीचा रेफरन्स आपण कुठून घेतो आहोत? तर पर्सन या टेबल मधून घेतो आहोत. म्हणून इथे डायरेक्टली टेबल नेम दिला पर्सन्स आणि त्याच्यामध्ये कुठला कॉलम्स आपण रेफर करत आहोत? पर्सन आयडी. दॅट्स इट. Okay, like that you can create the foreign key constraint. Do you understand the students? Integrity constraint.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The next and last one is the authorization. Yes, authorization. We may assign a user several forms of authorization on a part of the database. So authorize means giving some authorities, and we already have seen these concepts, that is the DBA has the authority to give the authority to other users, granting permission, revoking permission, or he or she want to take back whatever the privilege they provide. That time we are using the revoke commands to grant the permissions, privilege. We are using the grant commands. So which kind of authorization we are providing? Authorization to read the data, authorization to insert new data, authorization to update data, as well as the authorization to delete the data. And each of these type of authorization is called privilege. Okay, using grant or revoke, we are giving the authorization, privilege, or taking back whatever authorization we already given, and this is done by the owner or the DBA, that is the database administration. And we have seen the concept of the grant as well as the revoke command already. We may authorize the user all, none, or combination of these type of privilege on a specific part of the database, such as relation or a view. Okay, and when a user submit a query or and update the SQL implementation, first check if the query is update sorry is authorized Sorry for the disturbance. When a user submit a query or and update the SQL implementation, first check if the query's update is authorized or not. And based on the authorization that the user has been granted, if the query is updated is not authorized, it is rejected. Yes. एखाद्याला ऑथॉरिटी असेल तरच तो अपडेट करू शकेल. सो मग आपण जस्ट अपडेट अप्लाय केलं. पण बिफोर अप्लाइंग दॅट अपडेट टू ऑन अवर टेबल्स DBMS चेक करतो की तो ऑथराइज युजर आहे की नाही. असेल तरच ते अपडेट्स अप्लाय होतात, अदरवाईज ते रिजेक्ट होतात. आणि ऑथरायझेशनची लिस्ट इथे दिलेली आहे, विच काइंड ऑफ ऑथरायझेशन वी कॅन provide to the other users, that is the read data, insert new data, update data, as well as the delete data. Okay, just if you want to note down, just note down. Here our unit 4 is finished. Till is there any doubt? Let me know here only.
No doubt, ma'am.
Okay, we'll stop here only today.